This lecture is about digestion of carbohydrates. That the carbohydrates as an important nutrient that is present in the food, how they are digested by the digestive system of the human body. So when the food is taken up by the humans, the one of the important nutrients are the carbohydrates, as the carbohydrate function is to provide energy to the body and is also involved in other functions such as synthesis of proteins and provides the energy and involved in the different metabolic reactions of the body. So carbohydrate is obtained by the body through the food intake. So when we take the food, it includes the different nutrients, but one of the important nutrient is the carbohydrate. So how the carbohydrate digestion takes place by the human body. So carbohydrates, when they are taken up by the human body, the different organs of the digestive systems are involved in the digestion. So let's see which organs are involved in the digestion of carbohydrates. The organs that are involved in the digestion of carbohydrates are mouth, as the first organ that the food is taken up by the mouth where the mechanical digestion of the food takes place. Then the other organs, the food travels down through the mouth to the other organs, and there the further digestion takes place. Then finally when it reaches to small intestine, it is completely digested. Carbohydrates are completely digested into smaller saccharides. The other organ is the stomach, pancreas, and small intestine. So these are the organs that are involved in the digestion of carbohydrates. So when the food passes through these organs, the carbohydrates, the complex, as in the food, the carbohydrates are present in the form of the complex saccharides, complex carbohydrates. So they are converted into simple carbohydrates units. So the digestion of carbohydrates also takes place in the presence of the enzymes. So there are some enzymes that are present in these organs or present in the digestive system involved in the digestion. So the digestion takes place with the help of the enzyme. The first enzyme is the salivary amylase, as indicates the name, that saliva. So this amylase, this enzyme, amylatic enzyme, is present in the mouth, and it is involved in the digestion, or it converts the complex carbohydrate into simple one. The other enzyme is the pancreatic amylase, that is released from the pancreas as the pancreatic juice enters into the small intestine. So the pancreatic juice contains the important enzyme that is involved in the digestion of carbohydrate is pancreatic amylase. The other enzyme are the disaccharidases. The disaccharidases that are secreted from the succus entericus of the lining of the small intestine. These include sucrase, maltase, and lactase. So these are disaccharidases. So these are the enzymes that are secreted by the digestive system and that are involved in the digestion of carbohydrates. So these enzymes are also known as glycosidases. They are known as glycosidases because the carbohydrates, that they are made up of the bonds, like they have the when the saccharide units are joined together through the bonds or through the linkages, and that bond and linkages are known as glycosidic bond. So these enzymes will break the bonds present between the carbohydrates and convert them into simple form in order to become more simplified so that they can be absorbed through the small intestine. So they breaks the glycosidic bond present between the carbohydrates or saccharides. So that's why these enzymes are known as disaccharidases. As the digestion of carbohydrates involves the conversion of the more complex carbohydrates into the simple ones, so the complex structure of carbohydrate are known as polysaccharides. So poly means many, saccharides, the saccharides units. So the polysaccharides is a complex structure that are made up of many saccharide units held together through a glycosidic bond. So that's why in digestion of carbohydrate, like the enzymes act on this, more specifically on the glycosidic linkages, and break these bonds. So that's why that enzymes are known as glycosidases. Then the polysaccharide is converted into the simpler like oligosaccharides and then disaccharides, and then these disaccharides are converted into finally monosaccharides. When they reach to the small intestine, they are monosaccharides. Then from the small intestine, these monosaccharides are absorbed into the blood circulation. The absorption of the monosaccharides takes place. So the example here is the most complex is the starch that we mostly take in the food. So starch is the storage form of glucose in the like plants. So starch is the vegetarian food source, and glycogen is the non-vegetarian carbohydrate source. So these are the complex structure of the carbohydrate, like they are polysaccharides, and when they are taken up by the body, the enzymes, when they pass through different organs and the different enzymes acts on them, they are converted into disaccharides like maltose, and then on maltose the other specific enzymes will act on it and will be converted into two molecules of glucose. So this is the one example that how the carbohydrate digestion takes place, that from the complex structure they are converted into the most simpler form, and they pass through the different organs and acted by the different enzymes. So more specifically, let's see the each process in detail, like in which organ which enzyme is present and how they are going to cause the digestion of these complex molecules of the carbohydrate. In mouth, as the salivary which enzyme are present in the mouth, stomach, pancreas and small intestine. So in the mouth, the enzyme present is the salivary amylase, and for the digestion of carbohydrates there is no enzyme present in the stomach. In the pancreas, pancreatic amylase is present, and the pancreatic amylase is secreted, and from small intestine disaccharides are secreted, that includes the sucrase, maltase and lactase. So for the mouth, as the salivary amylase is secreted through the salivary glands present in the mouth. So salivary amylase, as mouth is the first organ which receives the food, that is the complex polysaccharide structure, like the example is the starch. So the salivary amylase will act on these complex molecules and will break the glycosidic bond. So this will break the glycosidic bond present between these complex structure of the polysaccharides and will convert them into dextrins, like a large molecule of structure, polysaccharide structure, and will convert them into isomaltose and the maltose. So convert into different disaccharidases, oligosaccharidases and shorter polysaccharides. Then this food will travel through the digestive system from the mouth. It will travel to the stomach. While in the stomach, for the digestion of carbohydrate, there is no specific enzyme present. So the digestion of the carbohydrates in the stomach is not chemical, but it will be mechanical, like HCl present in the stomach, that um, causes the pH of the stomach low. That the because of the low pH of the stomach, the salivary amylase, like the enzyme present in the mouth, when they reach into the stomach, their action is halted. Like it will no more function in the stomach. The salivary amylase has come from the mouth, so the food here is not chemically digested, as there is no specific enzyme present in the stomach for the digestion of the carbohydrates. So the so here the no chemical digestion but the mechanical digestion will takes place. Like it will because of the low pH, the salivary amylase action will be inhibited here. Then the food will travel to the small intestine. Then in the small intestine, what will happen? In the small intestine, two types of juices are secreted. Like the one juice is the come from the pancreas, like pancreatic juice. So the pancreatic juice that comes from the pancreas, like it contains the most important enzyme that are involved in the digestion of carbohydrate, is the pancreatic amylase. So pancreatic amylase that is present in the pancreatic juice enters into the small intestine. Then in the small intestine, it will further digest the complex structure of the carbohydrate into simple structure, like the polysaccharides or the oligosaccharides into more disaccharidases and more shorter polysaccharides. Then, as in the small intestine, two types of juices are present. One is the pancreatic juice that travels to the small intestine, and the other types of enzymes are secreted by the lining or by the cells present in the small intestine, like Succus entericus, the cells present in the small intestine, they will secrete the disaccharidases. So disaccharidases will finally convert or the digest the saccharidases like disaccharidases or oligosaccharidases into final product of monosaccharides. So the disaccharidases or the glycosidases that are released or that are secreted by the small intestinal juice, they include sucrase. So sucrase is the enzyme that will act on the sucrose and will break the glycosidic bond present in the sucrose and convert them into glucose and fructose. The other enzyme is the lactase. So lactase will act on the disaccharide lactose, will break the glycosidic bond present in glucose and galactose and will set free the two monosaccharides like glucose and galactose. The other disaccharides is the maltase that will act on the maltose, will break the glycosidic bond and will completely digest the maltose into two molecules of glucose. So the end product of the digestion of carbohydrate includes these monosaccharides. So these monosaccharides are present in the small intestine. From here, the small intestine, then the final absorption, as this whole digestion of the carbohydrate takes place just because for the absorption. So from here, these will be these monosaccharide units will be absorbed from the small intestine into the blood circulation, and through the blood they will be taken up to the liver for their final metabolism. So the end product of the carbohydrate digestion will be these monosaccharides that include the glucose, fructose, and galactose.